Everybody must know this. Alright, everybody must know this. Everybody must know about the books. Everybody must know. Alright, everybody. Alright, everybody must know this. Everybody must know about the books in respect of what's holy. And also other things in respect of what's holy. In respect of what is sacred, as it were. Okay. Now, for those who have watched a few of my videos, they will know that I speak about the time frame a lot in respect to the universe, as it were, in regards to there being a bad era and a good era. The scars left over from the bad era and the healing left over from the good era. Well, there's also other things left over. Well, they are sort of the same as the scars and the healing, and I'm going to explain that right now. Okay, take the books, the things which are meant to be guiding the people, as it were, scriptures. There is scripture and there's pre-scripture. There's meditation, there's premeditation. Well, in the good, there's the meditation, there's a scripture. In the bad, there's a premeditation, there's a pre-scripture. Okay, it's when people conspire and all that. So, what is the good? And how does it become the bad? Well, and what is everything? Okay, you see, there are certain things that are here that are not sort of, they don't come into being as a baby, as a person, you see. Matter, such as the earth and other things such as buildings and books and machines and that, they can come from not being here to being here, but there are certain things that are always here, and that are either, in respect to the two eras, created or recreated, or meditated or premeditated. I'll use the word created and recreated at a certain period. So when the time is for the good to come, the things which have been distorted or recreated, they would become good. For example, take the Quran, for example. All right, a lot of people are under the impression, or they are fooled by history, as it were. There's this big history story in respect to the Quran, that it came from this guy that received revelations, whose name was Muhammad, through an angel that was acting through God, through him, and out came the word, in respect to name this Quran. Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe it was here before, and it has always been around, and it is either created or recreated or distorted or saved at either one of the two eras. So if this is a good era, it would be being saved. And it's the same with the other books too, but namely I speak about the Quran because the Quran is not really a book, okay, for anybody that doesn't know and that is searching, or everybody has to know this, okay, that the Quran is a book of mantras. It's not a book of silent reading. It's a book that is meant to be recited or sung in a loud melodious tone, out aloud in a melodious tone, in a soft tone, in respect to the words which is in it, all right, namely the alphabet of Arabic, because of the icons above and below the letters, which serve as a guide for such recitating or singing, as it were. Okay, that's why it cannot be translated into any other alphabet. This is why Arabic revolves around this Quran. This is why it is always in Arabic. Okay, so being that, there's a certain amount of letters in each alphabet in regards to Arabic, those icons above and below the letters, they can't be they can't be translated to another language or to another alphabet through in respect to its proper meaning. Now, it is not only a book of mantras or a book of recitation for singing, it is the only book among religion, or what is meant to be the religions. It is the only book that is for such a purpose. There is no other book, okay? And there are a lot of miracles to it, okay? It is very holy, but there is something wrong with it at the moment now, and that is transliteration. There are names which have been transliterated in that, or the names or certain people that it is referring to in that has been distorted with transliterated names from the alphabet of Hebrew and Greek, but mostly Hebrew. Say, anybody would know that speaks Arabic that names or any other alphabet except English seems to be a big problem in English. Anybody that speaks in other alphabets, whether it's Chinese, whether it's Hindi, whether it's namely Arabic, they'll know every name has a meaning. Names are words that have meanings, right? But these names, they have no meaning in the Quran. Okay, so when one's reciting it and these names are mentioned, it might not even be referring to people. That is how serious it is. But when these names are mentioned, no meaning comes out. So the reciter or the person that's meant to be reciting, there's nothing coming out there. And not only that, there are words that have been mistranslated, and people would know me quite well, those that know me. I have this sting for translating words because I can see the devil or the evil, and there's a lot that's mistranslated in there. God being the main one. In Arabic, the word hu can be used for he or it depending on the context. So in respect to the Quran, it is being mistaken way out of context in putting the word, in mistranslating it for he, in people being under the impression or the wrong impression that it is speaking about somebody whose name is God, who is the King of the universe, who is decreeing all things. I mean, how insane is that? As if there's somebody up in outer space in a place decreeing everything good and bad, and it penalises people, this and that, and no, this is not what the Quran is about. Okay, this is not even close to what it's about. The Quran is about good and bad. Anyway, so going back to things always being here, there are things that are always around. Take the pyramids, for example. Them blocks might not have even come from anywhere. I go so far as to say they are there, and that they are either created or recreated or distorted or saved at those either of the two periods. And these other ancient walls and that, they are already there. It has to be. It has to be because of the time frame. There are certain things that have to always be there without coming from, say, nowhere. Those things that come from nowhere, those things they're the fake things. They're things that shouldn't even be there at all. Okay? But if they are, you have to explain and justify why they're there and where and how they came into being there in the first place and what materials and where they were before. Okay? Say a book, for example, a novel that somebody writes about a story of somebody. That book was never there before, of course. There's a lot of books on the shelf. Many that, are people, they just came up with this story about this, once upon a time, blah, 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 and this and that. But they're not the holy books, okay? And in respect to the time frame, I'm saying that there are certain things that have to always be here without it being, made up by somebody writing a book upon or once upon a time of this and that. No, there are some things that always have to be here, and those things are in those holy areas. Okay, that's why there's no real authors that are attributed to these books. Have you ever wondered that? Why, or question why there are no authors to any of these books? It's not very clear. There's this big question, where did they come from? Why are they here? If there's no specific author that can really be, with any other book, you have all your philosophers and all that. They're there. Now thousands of years ago, and they're all, they're all known or renowned for their writings or their pieces. I mean, everybody knows it comes from them. But when it comes to the scriptures that are meant to be holy, nobody really knows. There's this big question: where have they come from? Well, the answer is, it must be. You have to begin believing in this, that there is a time frame, and that there are things that are always here. Okay, they never get destroyed. They never vanish or get deleted from, the earth. There are things that do, and then they come again. But there are certain things that don't, that are either created or recreated. Okay, like they're either distorted, or they're saved at a certain period, or saved or unsaved. All right. So, with respect to the Quran, you can say, at the good era, now those names, those transliterated names, they're fixed. They become fixed. All right. You take the transliteration away, you translate it for the meaning of the name, and thus you get the meaning of the book. Okay? And all the other mistranslated words, that they've got the words there, but people have mistranslated them. Okay, so you take the transliterations away, you put the meanings of the names there in the proper Arabic, thus you get the meaning of the book or what it's trying to say. Right? In the good era, you fix it. In the bad era, it's where it's unfixed or it becomes distorted, where a whole bunch of other alphabets came that weren't there before. Say Hebrew, I'm saying that maybe Hebrew isn't an alphabet, or I'm saying all other alphabets. If this is the case, Arabic is the only proper alphabet, and all the other ones, that would make all the other ones are recreated alphabets. They're fake alphabets. Anyway, so when the time for the Hebrew alphabet came, somehow some person was in the spotlight. I'm guessing it was one of my ancestors, because I'm the one realizing the good. All right. So at the time came when the bad, the person who is in the spotlight to have the authority over that book in respect to all the people, or who the leader or the chief was in charge, they've somehow got these names and they've been transliterated somehow maybe through some other books. For example, those silent reading books, how I mentioned the Quran's it's not a silent reading book. It's a book of recitation. It's a book of mantras. It's a book of singing and chanting the meaning of the words in it, right? Through the icons above and below the letters, the guide on when to hold a letter, on how long to hold it for, all them sorts of things. So it's very complex in that regard, but very simple to follow and easy to memorize. Anyway, so you got the silent reading books. And all of those silent reading books are all in Judaism and Christianity, or if anybody doesn't know, Christianity and Judaism, they follow the same book, the Bible. The only thing is that Judaism, it doesn't have the New Testament, okay? It has only the Old Testament. Now, you might have saw people that know or have witnessed the Judaists, or as people say, the Jews. I'll say Judaists because it sounds more proper and respectable. Okay, you might have saw them reciting singing their book, but there's a difference, right? Them Hebrew letters, they have not a guide in regards to that recitating or singing. So they could be, holding bars anywhere or anywhere. So there's no, it's not for that purpose. It's for the purpose of a silent reading. It's a silent reading book. Okay, so with these silent reading books, they're quite very renowned as well. That they've got a lot of meaning in it. You look at the Psalms of David, and you look at the Songs of Solomon, and you look at all the other books of all the prophets in there, and you cannot deny that there is great meaning to these words. Okay, now I'm going so far as to say these are the books that must be studied in respect of silent reading, because they are of the prophets, or of this holy, way in regards to the God. Okay, in conjunction with the Quran. Okay, there's no other books in that area to follow silently. There is a bunch of sayings from Muhammad, but you can't read that over and over silently. It's insane, really. Anyway, back to the other ones, right? So you got all the books of silent reading. Okay, now in the bad era, those books, there must have been either the alphabet stay around, and there is also the Arabic for such in people to communicate with on the level of the same in regards to recitating. Okay, but so you got the silent reading books, and somehow somebody has got the names from them and is justified putting them as saying the names came from them, and transliterated it, and maybe it was an accident, maybe it wasn't meant to be that way, or somebody was saying that, because it's history, because history then beginning involved in the bad era, everything had to have a history to it. Someone remade this history story to it, in saying that it had to be that way for there to be justified a history story to it. So thus the names came from such a book, and blah blah blah. The meaning can't be deleted in a translation, because the names always have to go back, and so thus it has to be in a Hebrew transliterated way. But it's wrong. Okay, so anyway, it has to be fixed. It has to be the mistake. It's wrong. Okay, and it doesn't happen in the Hebrew scriptures. If you notice that, it doesn't happen at all. Maybe people that know really more, they might see because the New Testament is Greek, and there might be a Hebrew Greek thing going on there, but I'm telling you, there probably isn't, because the word Messiah is in Hebrew is, I know in Greek it's not the same. It's not the same as it is in Greek and Hebrew. There's two words for it altogether. So but you got people that are Christian, and they're using that word in respect to this Messiah or this prophecy person, but they got the Hebrew there as well that they translate into English, and they got the two, so it contradicts each other, you know what I mean? But anyway, there's no transliterations there, and there's transliterations from those two alphabets, namely, they've made their way into English a lot, and not only through the religious area, but through how I mentioned before, the philosophers and that. Well, philosophy, it's a Greek word. It stands for love, wisdom. It's not an English word. But anybody that speaks Greek would understand what that means. And so a person that is born speaking English, they then lose out when they go to, or when they go to university, they begin to find out these things. But the one that speaks Greek has a great advantage from birth, and who comes to a country of English speaking. There, children are in the school and they're knowing everything what's going on in the classroom, but yet everybody else is with this question mark over the head, and they have no idea what the teacher's talking about. I know it happened to me sometimes. I'll be in class, I'll be trying to listen to what this teacher's going on about, and I can't understand a word this teacher's saying. What are they talking about? Turns out, yeah, a lot of the stuff, they're all Greek words, they're all thrown in there. And it's wrong. Mathematics, it's a Greek word. It stands for that which is learnt. And science, it's a Greek word. It stands for knowledge in English. So you can imagine, these subjects are all based. If you ever wondered, if you question, think back. All your teachers at school, I'm 40, right? Anybody that's around my age, picture back, imagine back, what were they? Were they Greek? Was a lot of them Greek? I'm telling you, they probably were, because mine were. A lot of them were Greek. Through the science teachers, the mathematics, nearly every subject, they were all Greek mostly. So it's I call it a big Greek scam. When I realised that now it's become more so because it's in religion, and religion's meant to be there to save people. It's meant to be there to, for people to live by. If it's not even in the language or the alphabet they can understand, that they can speak in, how could they can't live by it? Okay, even when it's been tried to be translated into the alphabet they speak in, they can't understand it because the words have been transliterated, And not only that, other words have been mistranslated altogether. So on one scale, you got the transliterated words, so when a person hears them, it's got no meaning. And then you got the mistranslated word, so a person mistranslates it altogether, and they get even more indoctrinated. And this is where the mental illness comes in. This is the mental injury of that area of exercise. And I mentioned exercise because it is, It trains your ears to listen to it's meant to be training your ears to listen to the right thing and help your brain to think. Okay? The recitating for the mantras, the singing, it's meant to be, you're meant to breathe when you're reciting that through your nostrils, and then out through your mouth, the words come, because the nostrils have the mucus to catch the dust, to filter it. Or else if you gasp for breath, it's going to go in you and you're going to get sick, all right? And you're going to panic and you're going to be all, whole hasty or whatever, and you're not going to get the right meaning there, okay? So if you noticed, I've put comments, those who know me for a long while, sometimes I put a comment there, breathe, don't gasp. Gasp's not for breath. Use your nostrils to breathe, because it has the mucus to filter the dust, okay? So you got those exercises there. You got the recitating, the singing for the voice, for the breathing, and then you got your eyes for the training to the reading, the silent books there. You look at it, you read it with and your brain, you stimulate your brain in that regard. Or you got the prayer where people close their eyes and they pray. There's all these exercises in religion in them areas, and they cover those areas of the hearing, of the ears, the eyes, the seeing, and the breath of the spirit, the breathing, the breath of the spirit, and those sorts of things. So, and then to another extent, you got your spouses, the marriage. It's always in religion. Have you noticed that? Well, you got you got your teats or your nipples. When a couples the clothes become off, they become nude, naked in front of each other, and their bodies come together. That's for them. That's the exercise for them, for the spouses. All right. So it has to be the right way, or else the wrong meaning. All right. The misunderstanding. The people are going to be. You see how it is today. You see how it's going on. USA, for example. Look at it, and not only USA, for example, all the other places, but namely there's a lot of this sodomy going on. Anybody noticed it? It's being advertised everywhere. Everybody's promoting sodomy. See, the wrong thing has gone in the ear. The mistranslation, it's caused the people to be wrong in respect to their spouses and sodomize them, be, into sodomy. It's wrong. Okay, they're gasping for breath, they're panicking, they're looking at the wrong thing, and the illness is there. Everybody's going these horrible things they're watching on the television, the bad movies and everything, and this and that. It's wrong, and it has to come to an end, and it will come to an end when people begin to realize, when they begin to understand what is reality. Okay, because a lot of people now, they're in great denouncement. They're in denouncement. When I mention about the Quran to a person that's meant to be a Muslim, okay, they're only saying they're Muslim because they said some magical words, and to them, or they're Muslim. No, it's not. That's not. To say some magical words doesn't make anybody anything. Okay, there has to be action to something to be something. You have to graduate. You have to put the effort in to be something, and then you get given that title. That title from the effort you put in. Anyway, so I've mentioned this before to these people that are, and other religions, because face it, religion is one thing. It's not a bunch of things. Okay, people have asked me, what am I? I'm not in a category that is out there. I'm creating the way at the moment. Okay, so anyway, so I put this to them. I tell them about the Quran. They say the Quran is not wrong. It's the perfect word of God, and I say, okay, I know exactly what you're saying, but there's mistakes in it right now. Okay, the names, for example, have been transliterated. They have no meaning. So thus, the proper Arabic meaning must be put to the names for the recitation to be perfected. Otherwise, there's no perfection there. All right? I've mentioned it to a couple. Denouncement. They can't believe it because of what they've heard over the years and years and years has indoctrinated their brains that much that when they hear the truth, they don't listen, and it's wrong. And to the other people of the other religions, or say the Christianity, Judaism area, all right, I speak about the universe. I speak about the time frame. I speak about the earth shifting on its axis and the bad era, and there's a good era. And it doesn't come out of, and God being a word. Nah, they don't believe it. Because, again, they're under the impression that there's this God up somewhere, this person named God, that created everybody, and that he's up there on a big throne, and he's, decreeing everything good and bad, and if you do something bad, then God's going to, and this and that. And it's wrong. When they hear the truth, they ignore it. They can't believe it because they're so bewildered by the truth, and because they've been hearing something their whole entire lives, they don't want to believe it. There's no want in them, and it's wrong. But I've noticed through time, through studying these people, the seed, it begins to sprout slowly, and then you see a glimpse or two of hope in them. you know. And that's the great thing, you know, that it is that hope there, you know. There is that, it's working, you know. They're listening to it. It's something has sprouted, you know. So there is that possibility there that they can change and they can become better people. And so, yeah, so again, there are these books, there are these things here on the earth. You know, people are always trying to find out how the pyramids were created, or how they move those blocks. Or have you ever wondered, they might not have moved them at all. They might have already be there as part of the earth. And they're, at a certain period, they're either looked after or they're not looked after. Okay? And, you know, it's the same with the books as well. So think about that in respect of the time frame. Okay? Things that are always here. Think about it. Things that have to always be here, not completely destroyed, that as a lot of other things, but things, the holy things, the things that are meant to be holy, think about it. Think about it, has to be. Some things have to always be around, and it has to be those holy things in the religious area that have to always be here. And what stays around in the end is going to really tell what is religion and what is around. And it is my mission to find that out. And I've almost got all the answers already. And I'm telling you, people that have been listening to me, I've got something working out right now, and I'm in the progress of putting it all together. I haven't got it all together now, but I've got a lot of things together, and I'm in the progress of putting it all together, naming this area of religion. And there is, you know, religion, people, it's another mistranslated word. I'll translate it right now for you. You got, you know, religious, irreligious, thus religion. Responsible, irresponsible, thus responsibility. Reproachable, irreproachable, thus reproachability. Reproach. Regular, irregular, thus regularity. It's in that category of words, and that is all it is, okay? That is all it is. And if you want to recognize that, okay, if you ever have the want to recognize that word, just think about the other words in that category. That's all you have to do to recognize and decipher, and, you know, decipher what exactly, discern between what that word means. If it's responsible, then you can say, okay, that's a religious activity. It sounds responsible. It sounds religious. It sounds reproachable. It's pretty regular. Yep, okay, that's a religious activity. That's how you can tell if someone's lying to you about religion. Okay? Okay, so again, I'm putting these exercises together in respect to the meaning, okay, and what the proper translation is, on the proper words to read, okay. I'm going to have to go back over the book. So I've read the biblical book. I've read it once, the New Testament twice, but I'm going to have to go back over it because the word God has been it's the most mistranslated word today. And the word He's been put next to it, and it's not the way, you know. Again, in Arabic, it's not the way. It doesn't have to be that way, okay? There is a context of understanding. That doesn't have to be the way that it is now, and that's proof to me that what I thought in the beginning was right, because I haven't, you know, conjured this up from anywhere. I've gone through years and years of going through things to know this, and I had a thought. I thought something was true, so I went back to check it out, and it turns out that I was right. And now that was my sign to continue going on the path, you know, to keep looking, and I found more answers along the way. And if anybody that knows that they're in that way through what they're figuring out now, they would have their things they're figuring out. Anybody listening, you know, you would have your things figuring out, you know, you would know. You might not know the way I know, and you might be really, you know, surprised or knowing sort of happy with what I'm saying, you'd have to have your things going on now. If I have something going on, other people have to have something going on. You know, everybody's got their sort of thing. You know, I'm suffering in my way, you're suffering in your way. Okay, and I'm telling you, it's not all good at the moment. All right, I'm living in a how I'm living is very excruciating. When I live in a country where the majority of people have houses and transport and families. I'm 40, I haven't got any of it, all right? I'm starting from the basic. I had nothing, all right? So I have to basically, in my adult, save myself and start off from having nothing. I mean, seriously, nothing, okay? Anyway, so I'm putting something together. I'm putting these, the meaning together. And again, anybody that knows who I am, that has listened to any, that has, anybody that knows me knows that I know something, knows that I'm not a joke, knows that I really know what I'm on about. And I'm going somewhere, and I am the one that has the answers, because there's no question without an answer. You don't ask a question and you get the answer like how many years later. No, the answer comes with the question. It comes. It is there, okay? And I receive those answers. And it's frustrating because everybody's asking the question which I already have answers to, and they haven't got any answers to it. And they're going around with these, mistranslations of namely the earth at the moment. And